As the Buffalo Bills search for their next head coach, could their process be quietly impacting the Browns' search? And is owner Jimmy Haslam hurting Cleveland's chances at landing top candidates? Let's discuss it all right here on the Daily Dogs. Hi again, everybody, and welcome into the Daily Dogs here on the Big Play Sports Network, presented by FanDuel. I'm Ryan Tyler, joined as always by Browns and SI Insider, as well as host of the Big Play Cleveland show here on the Big Play Sports Network, Nick Padone. Nick, it is Tuesday, January 27th, and the Cleveland Browns still do not have a head coach. We have so much news to get into, and we welcome back into the show, I should say, my good friend, Browns legend, Josh Cribbs. Josh, good morning. How are you today?
Good morning, guys. I'm doing well. How you doing?
We're doing well, Josh. Thanks again for joining the program. Josh, all eyes yesterday turned to Nate Scheelhaase, the pass game coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams, after he met for the second time with the Browns on the West Coast. Then all of a sudden, the Buffalo Bills entered the equation. It was announced during his interview that they were requesting to meet with Nate Scheelhaase for their vacant head coach position. They met with him that following night. Josh, now that throws a wrench possibly in the Browns' plans. There's been reports now that Jim Schwartz is slowly gaining momentum to be promoted to the head coach role. Josh, as we sit here today again, it is Tuesday, January 27th. The Cleveland Browns do not have a head coach. What are your overall thoughts? What's going on through your mind right now?
You know, it seems as though they're being forced into Jim Schwartz, and I don't want to make it seem as though he is the butt of coaches, meaning the last pick. He is my first, just because I feel as though switching Jim Schwartz or a new head coach may bring in or want another defensive coordinator. And that will make our, defense look completely different. But let's be serious, right? The Browns organization is not the first landing spot for new head coaches. It's not a desired location. Yes, Scheelhaase will be, he would want to go to a team such as Buffalo. That is just a better landing spot. You have a solidified quarterback. You have a team that is on the verge, right, with Josh Allen, and to get a coach like himself with a team that's already ready to go, playoff ready, that suits him. Our team, and this is what I keep telling people, we need attention to detail. We need pieces to the puzzle, and we have unknowns. And so we need a guy on his second go round, in my opinion, Schwartz, his second go round. Head coaches who have that second chance to be a head coach, they usually fix things, and they come in with totally different perspectives. So I don't want to, to our fan base, make it seem as though, picking Jim Schwartz would be an afterthought. I think it's, he should have heavy consideration with those guys, those younger guys who may be highly wanted and highly desired at this point.
Josh, in your opinion, why have the Browns had a difficult time hiring their head coach? They said that they're operating on this 120-day timeline. We are just about 2.5 weeks in or 3.5 weeks in, rather, from when they fired head coach Kevin Stefanski. In your mind, is it the fact that they're trying to force a marriage here with a potential new head coach and Jim Schwartz as DC? Is it the fact that the quarterback situation is a little bit up in the air? Like, why have the Browns had a difficult time navigating this when some of the other teams, see the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have some of the same questions at quarterback, they were able to make their hires already and kind of move along in this offseason process?
I don't want to sugarcoat it, guys. Out of all the teams that had trouble, getting talented coaches, this is what I kept speaking on through the year, Nick and Ryan. If we made a head coach change, it would be difficult to fill it because the landing spot for a good head coach, Cleveland wouldn't be a desirable location just because of the holes we have to fill. How hard we are on the head coaching, carousel circuit. We're tough on our head coaches. The bad rep and the bad attention that Cleveland sometimes get, it's just not the best desired location. You have to be in Cleveland. You have to be a part of the culture to understand its greatness. So the outside looking in, these guys don't want to come here. And it's not these made up things that they said the coaches got to write paragraphs and to do all this in the interview process. That's not true. It's just, if I'm a head coach, and I'm up and coming, my stock is risen, I get to choose my location. I interview around as a, hey guys, just doing it as keeping good contacts. But I know the few places I want to go. Tennessee also had issues with getting head coaches until things changed for them. So it's just the landing spot for these guys. So you'll look for older. It's unfortunate, but we're going to get an older coach, and sometimes not the most exciting coach that everybody, all the glitz and glam, because it's about the landing spot. And a lot of coaches don't want to take the risk. They don't want to start their coaching journey off coming to Cleveland and trying to hit a home run and to be remembered as great. It's too much of a risk, and a lot of those guys aren't up for the challenge.
Josh, is it a bad look, the fact that we've had multiple coaches withdraw from the Browns candidacy? Obviously, it started with Mike McDaniel, Jesse Minter, although nobody really linked Jesse Minter here to Cleveland all that much. But then the most recent, Grant Udinski, withdrawing. Is that a bad look for the Cleveland Browns, or is that just part of the business of a head coach search?
Both. I mean, we're not desirable, and I don't know how many times, I want to be clear about that. We have, because we're from Cleveland, we love Cleveland. We've been here most of our lives. We have an affinity for it. So to us, we feel like, man, why not Cleveland? Cleveland is the greatest. It's not outside looking in. It's not the most desired location. So when we talk about bringing someone in and having that stipulation of saying, is this a great landing spot, and should we be embarrassed? We should feel some type of way because we haven't made this city, the organization, a desired spot to bring in great head coaches, to attract the top tier talent that our team and our city deserves. So we have to manufacture that. So whoever we get, whether it be Schwartz or whoever, they have to simply start winning and change this culture so that it's not just every, so often that Stefanski was able to get 2 winning seasons, 2 playoff bursts in almost a decade, right? It has to be more consistent in order for us to actually attract talent here. It has to be consistency. Right now, there's no consistency in our organization. We changed coaches. Stefanski's been the longest running coach since '99. In my head, if you guys think it's different, let me know. But a coach that will come here knows that if he doesn't win right away, he might be on his way out.
Josh, we are literally taping this show right now, we're getting word that the Browns are currently in decision-making mode as we speak. There's a world in which Todd Monken and Jim Schwartz could come in together as a package deal, and there's a chance that it could still be Nathan Scheelhaase, the young passing game coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams. As they're going through this decision-making mode, what do you think that process looks like? Like, who's involved in that meeting, and what do you think they're trying to weigh as they make this decision here?
I think narrowing down, the best guy to lead us into the future, to lead us forward, right? And that's with a Schwartz, right? So, in my opinion, when I look at if our young guys who we want are not on the table, right, and it's between Monken and Schwartz, I take Monken, I take Schwartz all day. I mean, it's so when I look at that decision making process, we look at how can we go up, not down. So when we talk about going down, that's a real possibility, bringing in top Monken, because, he has to have this identity of Cleveland and know what he's getting himself into, right? And it's a different story if he's head over the heels about Schwartz and he, him and Schwartz hits it off. That changes things. But, again, I'd rather Schwartz get the job and then he gets the young OC talent that somebody's never heard of, who's a genius at play calling. So when they're in their war room and they're discussing the pros and cons, who is the it factor? Who can keep us afloat and going and trending upward? My vote is Schwartz because everything else is an unknown.
Josh, I think a lot of people are, happy with the Browns doing their due diligence, even though we don't have a head coach yet. It kind of stinks. But are you concerned yourself, the fact that they haven't had a head coach named yet, given the fact of they were one of the first teams to fire their head coach in Kevin Stefanski? Pair that with just right here in the AFC North, the Steelers acted very swiftly in hiring Mike McCarthy. Meanwhile, the Baltimore Ravens got a head coach before us in Jesse Minter. Are you concerned at all about how long this has taken?
We're going to have a head coach. I I expected it. I expected the good talent to wait and weigh their options. And that's simply because they knew changes would happen. It's been reported around the league, especially with McDermott, Sean McDermott losing his job right after a playoff loss, and Baltimore coming available, and these are all desired locations, that playoff locations. Baltimore, Steelers, Buffalo. I mean, is there any discussion around that? If you had a choice, guys, wouldn't you want to go to these playoff locations as opposed to a hopeful? We have a tradition, and I could say all the best things about our organization, but from the outside looking in, they don't know that, and they don't have that affinity. So I expected the wait. We will have a head coach, whoever it is. I know they're going to want to be here, and I'm happy about that.
Well, Josh, I think it's safe to say next time we have you on the program, we will have a head coach, and I know I can't wait to get your thoughts on whoever that may be. Josh, thanks for coming back on the Daily Dogs. We appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm sure you'll be scrolling Twitter like everybody else today, my friend.
Absolutely. Go Dogs.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Daily Dogs here on the Big Play Sports Network. Ryan Tyler, Nick Padone. Nick, it's always good to have Josh back on the program to get his insight as that former player. And, hey, he seems to really want Jim Schwartz to get that promotion. And, Nick, we very well may be headed toward that scenario.
This is crazy, isn't it? We thought last week that it was going to be Grant Udinski. Then we were thinking all day Monday that it was going to be a Nathan Scheelhaase's camp that was really going to be the one that was the last interview, the last one standing. And here we sit on Tuesday and we get word that the Browns are currently in decision-making mode, and all of the options remain on the table for the Cleveland Browns. They could go young with somebody like Scheelhaase. They could go older with, somebody like Josh's suggestion and keep a Jim Schwartz around. The one thing that I will say about Jim Schwartz, like Ryan, we've talked about it, and I am a little bit against it because it feels like you've sought out on this 3-week voyage to find your next head coach after you fired Kevin Stefanski following his 6 seasons with the Browns, and all just to hire the guy that was internally in the building. And why would you have not, fired Kevin Stefanski after that Titans loss when a 1-win Titans team came in here and promoted Jim Schwartz and gave him that interim label? And you could have maybe seen if you had something there. Ultimately did not happen. And here we sit as the Browns are in decision mode weighing Jim Schwartz. But the one thing I guess I have to say is the players respect him. The players want him. Myles Garrett endorsed him. Denzel Ward endorsed him. So we'll see what we get here.
It certainly does seem like a bit of a waste of time. Do they elect to go down this route with Jim Schwartz? But speaking of Jim Schwartz, Nick, a report comes out about Browns owner Jimmy Haslam potentially meddling in this coaching process. There was a report that came out that Browns owner Jimmy Haslam may not allow a head coach candidate such as Nathan Scheelhaase to pick his defensive coordinator, even if he wanted to go down the route of hiring somebody else. Jimmy Haslam certainly in this search process, we all know that, but is he hands too much into the pile in this coaching search, in your opinion?
I mean, Tom Pelissero said it best last week when he said, the Browns are the Browns, and they operate independently of the 32 NFL organizations. And Jimmy Haslam said when he met with the media after they fired Kevin Stefanski that they're not a dysfunctional organization, and he takes offense to the people that do call them a dysfunctional organization. So we won't call them that, but we have to acknowledge the fact that they do things their own way. I think having candidates do the written work and the essays and the questionnaires, it's probably unique. It's probably not how business is done around the National Football League. Now you've got guys on national TV this morning on ESPN saying that Jim Schwartz could be viewed as a bridge head coach. And I don't think that that's how any other organization around the league does business. I think when you name a head coach, you want that guy to be the individual that leads you to the Super Bowl. But the Browns made the worst trade in the history of sports when they traded away 3 first-round picks and $230 million fully guaranteed for Deshaun Watson. Whoever signs up to coach this thing next is inheriting $80 million worth of dead cap that still goes out to him. He's still going to be on the roster. It's still going to be a distraction. And ultimately, I think you're lined up in a scenario where if it is Schwartz, if it is Monken, if it's any of these older candidates, it's because they're willing to be signed up for, a bridge to whatever whatever is to come. And that should be the last thing that Browns fans want to hear, because we're sick of waiting. I want to win. I want to win now. And Jim Schwartz is a great defensive coordinator. I'm not trying to pretend like he's not, but I also can't forget that in the one playoff game that he coached on the Browns sideline, the Houston Texans walked him down. I can't pretend like I didn't watch him this year get beat at home by the Tennessee Titans in a game where they scored 30 plus points. So he's a good defensive coordinator. I think you could find other good defensive coordinators that would have no issue coaching Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward, because those guys make your life a whole lot easier. And the history will tell us, Ryan, that when you do these internal promotions, you get somebody like a Dennis Allen. When he was the defensive coordinator of the Saints, gets promoted to head coach, and what was he? He was a bridge to Kellen Moore, who is their new shiny head coach, was the offensive coordinator of the Eagles that won the Super Bowl, and his first year as head coach doesn't look like the Saints might have found something offensively with Tyler Shuck, and they don't have a ton of offensive weapons or a ton of talent on that side of the football, but they decided to get serious, and the Browns, it seems like, could decide to just fall back on excuses that they have to pay Watson all of this money and hire a bridge head coach. That's just bizarre to me.
You can add Antonio Pierce to the list of recent more interns that came in and that got promoted and it didn't work out, as the Raiders are now looking for a head coach. Nick, that idea or concept of a bridge head coach is so silly to me. The Cleveland Browns, what is the point of hiring Jim Schwartz, promoting him, and if things don't look good because you don't have that quarterback, which I think we all is expecting to happen, you're just going to go into 2027 in the same process. I don't understand why you would elect to go down that road. If anything, you figure out if you have something in a hot shot coach next year, one of these young guys that could be what you hope to be the next Sean McVay. And even if it doesn't look good in the first year, well, if you're Jimmy Haslam, are you really going to fire him? You take the good out of what was probably going to be a bad season next year, and then you just either stick with him or you go to the next one. And I'm imagining Jimmy Haslam certainly isn't going to want to go through a head coach search again. He gave Kevin Stefanski 6 years, which is the longest tenured here we've seen since 99. To me, and you've been saying this sentiment a lot, Nick, Jim Schwartz being promoted head coach does seem like a lame duck. I don't want to call Jim Schwartz a lame duck because he earned a lot of respect here in Cleveland, obviously one of their best hires. But we all know it's a quarterback and coach league. You got to find the quarterback and pair him with that head coach, and it just doesn't make sense to prolong that by just hiring Jim Schwartz in this bridge year.
No, I'm not trying. I love Jim Schwartz. Don't get me wrong on that. He is the best hire that this organization has made in the last decade. The issue is the defensive-minded guy. Didn't we just see this year? The defense is awesome. And to everybody that's like, well, you don't want the defense to take a step back. I don't. I want to keep Jim Schwartz. I'm with the program here.
I don't want to see overblown.
I don't want to see the defense take a step back, Ryan. I don't. But at the same time, how's Jim Schwartz and Andrew Berry going to identify, draft a wide receiver? Because they haven't been able to do it over the last 6 years. How are they going to fix this offensive line with a defensive-minded coach? It's not just Jim Schwartz. It's the fact that when Jim Schwartz was a head coach, he had Matthew Stafford in prime Megatron, and he still wasn't able to win. And you ain't got prime Matt Stafford or Megatron here. It's just the reality of the situation. You've got a great defense, and he's done a fabulous job coaching that defense. Nobody's trying to say otherwise. It just feels like he was if it comes out later today that he was named the head coach, it's going to kind of feel like he was the head coach by default, because it was either a situation where they promote him or lose him. And I just don't know that that was the right order of operations to go about a search in the first place.
And Nick, I think too, if you're looking at the Browns, yes, the Browns draft was, you found some amazing gems on defense. Quinshon Judkins, we'll see what his future holds. He was a gem on offense when he was there, I thought, for the most part. Harold Fannin, of course, he was a gem on offense. Imagine if you have that same draft class, but with offense this year. Don't you want somebody, an offensive-minded head coach, to continue to develop these guys? The defensive side of the ball, I think it's overblown how bad you think of a step back. Not you.
And is it going to be Monken? Is Monken going to be the OC? He came out on record and said that he couldn't get along with Lamar Jackson the way that he wanted to this year. That's the guy that we're going to trust with two young quarterbacks and Sanders and whatever there is there with Dylan Gabriel. I just don't see it. We'll see what happens ultimately. It's a fluid situation, and it feels like the timeline on the decision is also fluid. But they're probably trying to weigh right now, do we go with the older, more proven, respected guys in the league, and Schwartz? Anthony Lynn is another name that hasn't been ruled out, and Todd Monken, or do we go with Scheelhaase and let him cook it his own way?
And I know a lot of fans are going to think, and Josh kind of tried to get us to not think this, if it is Jim Schwartz that ultimately is hired a head coach, it will be hard to not view Jim Schwartz as kind of that consolation prize, right? An internal hire, you're not getting someone, maybe a sexy name in the Scheelhaase or Nudinsky. For a lot of Browns fans, Nick, I think they'll be spited. We've waited this long to hire a head coach, and all along at the end, it ends up being just an internal hire, a defensive guy in Jim Schwartz. I think a lot of fans are going to have an issue with that.
I'm curious to see the reaction either way, because I think Schwartz would be wildly popular with the older crowd. But then I think like the people that, like live this and breathe this and follow this all the time, like you probably wanted a more thorough search because you haven't done this in 6 years. You haven't made this change in 6 years. And the fact that the national media is already saying if they go with Jim Schwartz, this is just a bridge to whatever's next. I don't think that should be loved or welcomed. I hate firing people. That's what we get to look forward to at the end of next season, is having that conversation about Jim Schwartz. Is he still the guy in 2027? Like, I hate going through that. I'm sick of going through that. I hope that doing this with Kevin Stefanski, who actually did some good things here with his 2 Coach of the Years and fixed the offense there for a fleeting moment. I thought that it ultimately had to come to an end, and it did, but I hate doing this, and we're getting ready to sign up to do it again if they go down the Schwartz Avenue. I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's fluid, and it really does feel like all of the options remain on the table, which I guess is the good thing. You could hold out some hope that they're going about this the right way and that they're meeting and deliberating over all of these options, but we ultimately have to see how it materializes now.
Regardless of who the next head coach of the Cleveland Browns will be, I know I'll be excited for it. Nick, I know you'll be excited for it. All of our dogs that come on this program will be excited for it. Maybe tomorrow we'll be doing a show where we have a head coach. Nick, call your shot real quick. Tomorrow's Daily Dogs, do we talk about the Cleveland Browns' next head coach?
I think so. I think it's got to be this afternoon, tonight, or first thing Wednesday morning. So subscribe to the Big Play Sports Network here on YouTube, and we will be back on Wednesday. Whether we have a coach or not, we will be here. So that's a good thing for you guys.
Nate Scheelhaase, Jim Schwartz, Todd Monken, Anthony Lynn. We never know with our Cleveland Browns, but we'll be here tomorrow to break it all down. Appreciate you tuning in to the Daily Dogs and the Big Play Sports Network presented by FanDuel. For Nick Padone, I'm Ryan Tyler. We'll catch you tomorrow.
Find me my coach.